Breaking the law usually has a negative connotation. However, there is a form of civil disobedience that has been around since the early 1970s, aimed at improving quality of life in rural communities by planting native plants and vegetation in vacant, abandoned, or government-owned properties. It's a beautiful and beneficial activity that anyone can participate in. My name is Eva, and I'm going to tell you about a practice called guerrilla gardening. Guerrilla gardening is defined in the website for community law as growing on land that belongs to another without the landowner's permission. Though the practice has definitely existed since the beginning of time, the term guerrilla gardening was first used in the 1970s by a group of gardeners led by Liz Christie. The gardeners planted native trees, flowers, and other plants all across New York City with the purpose of beautifying and, in a way, taking back urban city blocks. This is something that the common citizens had the power to do. The government looks down on this practice as it involves intruding on and tampering with property that does not belong to the individual. However, the government tends to neglect poorer communities, leaving the concrete jungle barren in the pursuit of the comfort and beauty of richer neighborhoods. The city of Boston, for example, has 1,400 vacant lots, the majority of which are in low-income neighborhoods. And so, the gardeners' form of protest was simple. If the government wasn't going to do anything, we would just do it ourselves. Additionally, one could argue about whether it's really okay for the government to police land that is empty. Would you rather have empty stretches of concrete going on for miles, or forests full of trees, flowers, and other plants? These will in turn attract animals. Aside from that concern, the thought of someone getting arrested for planting flowers on a vacant and, in most cases, neglected and torn down property is almost laughable. Community gardens were created in the hopes of bringing rural neighborhoods together and creating a system where the community can help one another as well as the environment in a simple and low-cost or even no-cost way. In a society, where money rules everything. People are not the only ones who benefit from nature in rural neighborhoods, of course. The increased air filtration and vegetation provides food, shelter, and sanctuary for native animals, which in turn increases biodiversity. Urbanization is a huge and extremely detrimental deterrent for wildlife. Even Chernobyl, home of the world's largest nuclear disaster, is now flourishing with wildlife due to the lack of people and the lack of urban maintenance. An article from the TED website states, "It's a really sobering reminder and a pretty dramatic example of the impacts that humans have on ecosystems. With individual care from the people of a city, we can welcome back animals into our cities and coexist without the price being a disaster or total abandonment." Today, there are over 600 community gardens all across the United States, as well as thousands of people practicing guerrilla gardening locally, as stated by the official website for guerrilla gardening. If you don't know of anything going on near you, there are some super interesting internet forums where people will post their success stories accompanied by beautiful photos and tips for other gardeners. People who have extensive knowledge on gardening may be doing invasive procedures such as planting entire trees in the small squares of grass off the sidewalk with the help of a large group, and skillfully evading cops as if they're pulling a heist. However, participating is really as easy as buying 50-cent packets of seeds from the dollar store, or just finding them on flowers that already exist and throwing them over a fence, or just sprinkling them beside yourself while you're walking down the street, minding your business. To put it simply, while the practice is not entirely legal, guerrilla gardening is beneficial for every party involved. A lot that would otherwise stay vacant and abandoned for years could be filled with beautiful native plants that would in turn bring more native wildlife to the area, improve air quality, and provide a sense of togetherness to a neighborhood, knowing that they put the work in to make it so beautiful. It's an old practice with a new name that transcends the arbitrary boundaries of a profit-centered economy. Thank you.